On this podcast, I'm going to give you guys some email marketing secrets. Many of you might not know, but I've been a direct response marketing copywriter for the last 20 plus years. I've had the honor of being featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Inc. magazine. I've been voted multiple times as a top marketer, thought leader, and copywriter. But the bottom line is I can show you how to build an email marketing list. I can show you secrets and strategies that the expert use and are going to charge you tens of thousands of dollars to learn. But I'm going to give you some of that wisdom here today. So buckle up. Here's a full masterclass from my inner circle on how to use email marketing secrets, strategies, and money-making wisdom in your business today. The thing I want to share with you, however, is the urgency and the importance of understanding that God can give you a supernatural ability for something that you are not trained for. That doesn't mean you sit around and gluttonously consume on your laurels with this gift. It means you take what's deposited in you and you multiply it. It's like God gave me a deposit of millions of dollars of ability, but it wasn't activated until I began to exercise it. This is why the more that I write, the better that I get. The more that I teach, the better that I get, even after all of these years. And I will let you know that I want you to keep a perspective because email's never been easier ever in my whole history online. Like when I was doing email with my kitchenware business, it was a nightmare. It was something called Major Domo. So like people had to sign up and then the Major Domo computer, which was like on the internet, got a action of their sign up. Major Domo sent them, do you want to receive this daily or weekly? Like people could choose how often they wanted to receive it. They would tell, it was like a 5-part process. It was crazy. So I made my first million in my kitchenware business with less than 5,000 people on my email list. And I made my first million in this company with less than 5,000 people. So excuses are gone for the fact that you think you have to have a huge list. You have to have a highly targeted list. We talked about that last month. I'm not going over the opt-in again. Now I'm talking about what you've got to do with this email list to make it highly targeted. You could create a highly targeted email list, and if you don't take care of it, it's going to be worth zero. Here's the thing. Many years ago, the history of email went, like I told you, from Major Domo. Then we had pop-ups all over the place. By the way, if you have a pop-up on your website, delete it. Don't let some web person talk you into having a pop-up. Pop-ups are a massive problem for your opt-in, especially because most of your people are on promotionals. I'm sorry, are on mobiles. I'm reading my notes ahead. Are on mobile devices. Then we went into a lot of promotional incentivized emails. A lot of people still do all this and they can't figure out why they can't market to them. Well, because you prostituted people with a bunch of free stuff and that's all they wanted was the free stuff. They didn't get on your list because they were sincerely wanting to be a part of your business. I could get up 2 million people on an incentivized list. I'd rather have 10,000 people who are highly targeted. A subscriber-based newsletter is something I'm going to also go over, and the difference between an email marketing sales letter versus a subscriber-based newsletter. I'm going to go through micro emails. I actually sent one out last night that sold several of our membership course, and it was only like 4 lines. That's it, the whole email. As a matter of fact, those work well because they surprise people. They shock people. They're like, what is this? And they pay attention. But you can't use the shock factor all the time or you'll teach people to ignore you. You cannot use hype and shock and all this other kind of nonsense all the time, or people will ignore you. We're going to talk about email marketing for connection and email marketing for sales. And today we're going to take a 3-part approach to email marketing. Number 1, why you must use email lists. You must. Don't just trust on crop sharing with social media. If you got shut down on social media, how are you going to market? The value of your company to a bank has nothing to do with your social media following. Has everything to do with your email list. As a matter of fact, publishers are pulling back from people who have large followings and they want to see the size of your list. The second one is major errors that people make. I can't teach you what you need to do until I show you the massive mistakes that people make and how to get trust, build culture, and close sales. So let's jump in. I'm going to say this respectfully. I'm going to say this with authority, and then I'm going to pray. Most of what is out there in email marketing is pure crap. It's just crap. It's just crap to make you think you can develop this skill overnight. It's just crap to make you buy a course. It's just crap. As a matter of fact, a lot of the courses, and how do I know this? Because in the last couple of weeks, I've bought a bunch of them. And I'm like sitting there thinking, you have got to be freaking kidding me. This is so process oriented with all kinds of ROI stats and click-through stats and opt-out stats and this stat and that stat. And half of them aren't even relevant anymore in a mobile device culture where it shows you a preview. But nobody is talking about the psychology behind email marketing. If you do not understand human behavior and what I'm going to teach you today, you can send out a bunch of words and maybe get a few sales, maybe, but you have to understand human psychology. So God, I'm going to pray right now in the name of Jesus that you would give the people who are underneath the sound of my voice supernatural favor. And I ask you to impart to them the very gifting that you've given to me. I pray that the war that I have fought, the things that I have pulled down from heaven, the skill set that I have learned, the strategy you've taught me, and the anointing that you've given me, you would impart to those, God, who you would see fit to give to. I pray, Father, that you would use them to help people, use them to serve well. I pray that they would understand that integrity is the name of the game. Their character when they're irritated, their character when they're not around anybody. That is the name of the game, that they would be customer-centric, service-oriented, and kiss goodbye this hustle and prostitution mindset that is in business, that is nothing but bondage. I pray that they would find life from you, the giver of life, as they write their emails. I pray that words would begin to form in their minds and their emails would start to convert. And I declare and decree that they will not be stuck and trapped in all this nonsense of trying to figure out every single reason why, but that they would do more of it and 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 have historic sales in Jesus' name. So why you must use an email list. I taught you last month how to get the opt-in. Okay. The first one is because it's yours. You own that email list. Nobody else owns it. You do. Number 2, connection is higher than anywhere else online. It always has been, always will be. 100,000 people on social media is like 5 to 10,000 people on a highly targeted email list. Connection will always be higher. C, it keeps your audience on track. It is your responsibility to keep your audience on track. It is your responsibility as the owner of the business to direct people who are following you. It is your responsibility to be a mile ahead of where they are. Do not buy into fantasies. This is not easy. He who chases fantasies finds poverty waiting for him. But if God can use somebody who was clueless, me, and you are willing to radically obey, that doesn't mean chewing on 100 different coaches' classes, but making a serious commitment to spend an entire year doing email marketing and getting the best that you can and asking God to add to it. D, you get to steer where your audience's focus is. Not only do you get to keep them on track with an email list, but you get to steer where their focus is. If your audience doesn't know you're posting stuff on social media, it's because you didn't steer them there. It's possible you're steering them here and you're steering them there and you're steering them there and you're steering them there. A lot of people, this is their marketing plan. I'm going to throw it here, and I'm going to throw it there, and I'm going to throw it there, I'm going to throw it there, I'm going to throw it over there, and I'm going to throw it there, and I'm going to throw it there. And let me see. In Jesus' name, let's see if any of it sticks. That's not intentional. So don't get surprised if your clients aren't being intentional and they're not focused and they're all over the place. Rapport building, E. It makes your client base like a community. Your email list is the highest place that you can engage with people. If you will commit yourself to this, even more than social media. Social media should be a way to get people on your email list. Social media should be a way that people are engaging with you and they open your email list because they love you on social media. We're not hoping things will work out. We're not just hoping and whipping up a prayer that people will buy our stuff. We're making it happen. 5 reasons why you need email lists. It's yours, no one else's. Connection is higher than anywhere else. It keeps your audience on track. It helps you to steer your audience's activity and focus. And it builds rapport like nothing. I've been online for 25 plus years. Everyone has a replacement for email. Everyone's been talking for 25 years. I'm not impressed. I don't pay attention, and I could care less every time somebody comes out with a new thing. First, it was apps that are going to replace email, and then text, and then all the blogs, and then your forums and social media and video and groups, etc. Nothing will get you results like email. Nothing. Even if you have super low delivery rates because of filters, nothing will get you the results. And by the way, think about it this way. And just like my other classes, I'm going to switch my mics a little bit. So if I get some connection over here on social media, and I get some more connection here with videos, and I've got people paying attention to me on my blog, and I'm over here as a guest with somebody, and I'm right here creating content, say on YouTube. This would be like on my own social media. This is why when I send out an email, people see my name and open it. It's not because, by the way, I don't have pink hair anymore. So you can't say it's because of the pink hair. It's not because I talk so different than most people. It's none of that. It's because I'm active on all of these channels. And then when I send out an email, people go, oh, it's Sandi. And they want to pay attention. At the end of the day, email is here to stay. And in 2021, after a global pandemic has shut down tens of millions of businesses, email is increasing. With social media banning, sites being shut down, an email program for your list, you must have your own website and then focus on other platforms. The only email software that I have ever used since 2008, since I've started this company, and mind you, I am aware of every email software out there. The only email I've ever used is Aweber. So let me give you this link. Aweber. A-W-E-B-E-R. Aweber. It's the only one I've used. Now, here's the thing. Major mistakes that people make. It kind of reminds me of the gym. There's 2 things that people absolutely suck at in the gym. And when they don't hone in on these things, it doesn't matter how often they work out. It doesn't matter how much cardio they do. It doesn't matter how much weight they lift. They're either going to be flabby fat or skinny fat, still out of shape and very susceptible to viruses, heart attacks, etc. There are 2 things that you have to count on in the gym: form and diet. Bad form means you're walking around waiting for an injury. Bad diet means no energy, weak. Sometimes you're flabby, sometimes you're not, keeps you very inconsistent and lethargic. So bad form and bad diet and email. The things that are major that people dropping the ball on left and right. You know what? I'm not saying this because I'm ego driven. I'm saying this because I have written over 250,000 different emails in 25 years. Okay. That's like, let me see if I've written that many. That would be almost like, I mean, every year I write at least 365, maybe not 250,000, but I've written to 250,000 people. No, actually I've had 20 million people on email lists. Anyway, I've written so many emails that I'm going to get a little ballsy here. If anybody has ever told you to do any of the 1 through 8 things that I'm going to give you, run away. Do not do them. They are stupid. I'm being really sassy today because I've just, especially with all the nonsense going on in the media, I have had it with business trainers marketing a bunch of crap that doesn't work because people will pay them for it. Number 1, the big mistake, only send sporadically. So if you're only going to send emails sporadically whenever you want something from people, you are in massive trouble. That's like going to the gym sporadically. I rest my case. I'm not even going to say anything about that. And it bothers me when people are like, can I just have a quick tip to have the body that you have? No. 2, they talk too formal. Hello, Miss Krakowski. How are you today? We looked in our client base today and you came up on our screen and we would like to introduce, like, who talks like that? I don't even talk like that from stage. I don't talk like you do a friend. We're in a social media world where people are very casual, where people, have you ever paid attention to this? People call strangers their friends. People call people they've never met, never talked to on the phone, their friends. So if you start talking too formal in that kind of culture we're in, you're doomed. Too many photos. Another major mistake in email. Too many photos. Unless, of course, your email is all photos, because all you're showing me is 5 different outfits or other things like that. But if you start packing in a bunch of copy and you start putting in 9 or 10 photos, you are doomed. Half those photos aren't going to load. The whole email is going to load slow. It may actually cause their email program to crash, and they're going to delete you and unsubscribe from you. Too many highlights. Or I'll just put highlighters so you understand what I mean. This is not the 1980s or the 90s when we used red and yellow and all these other different colors. Feel free to use red and yellow, but use them so sparingly that it makes sense to use it. You don't use it with every campaign. Major mistake. Another mistake. Sound like you're talking to a group. I heard somebody on this one course that I bought say, when you talk to people on your email list, talk to them like you're talking to them inside a Facebook group. Talk to the whole group. That is baloney, because you're not reading the emails with a bunch of people in a group. You're reading the email on your phone, most likely, and you're probably doing something else. And so when I start talking about a group, or I start talking to a group, and I'm reading something, it makes me want to kind of go, who are you talking to? Don't talk to a group. We're going to talk about what it's like to talk to one person and send it to many. Disclaimers galore. And please don't put them on the top. What are you doing? That's like if I'm just walking through a house. I just rented another new house because this person wants to sell their house. When you own your own company, by the way, ask your accountant about the wonderful benefit of writing off an entire rental. It's amazing. That's why I want to own rental property, and I don't know if I'll ever buy again because I could spend $1 million on a house, but I can't flip it into 5 million like I can on Facebook ads. And I can rent a house and the whole thing's a write-off. Anyway, that was for free. But what's interesting is disclaimers all over the place. Could you imagine if my real estate agent, prior to sending me all the different listings, sent me these listings, and at the top it says, but if you don't want this, unsubscribe. But if you didn't ask for this, unsubscribe. But if you unsubscribe. Like, I'd kind of be like, you're scaring me with all these things that I might not have done. Make sure I unsubscribe. I never would have gotten to the almost 2-acre piece of property with a gorgeous house on the side of a mountain I found with all those disclaimers. That's like walking out and saying hi to somebody and you're holding a shotgun. Don't do that. Number 7. Oh, this one gets on my nerves. And all those people telling you to use software to pilfer people's emails, I want to say something very unchristlike. If you weren't given permission, don't email them. Actually, you could end up in jail for doing that. It is against the law for you to use a third-party software, send it out through your social media, and have it pilfer those. It's against the law. It doesn't matter if they put contact us here on their profile. It is against the law, punishable by jail, to be able to take a bunch of emails. Just because software can do it doesn't mean it's legal. People can hack into the White House. People can hack into the bank. People can hack into the stock market. That don't make it legal just because they can do it. You weren't given permission, don't write them. What did I write here? Okay, stop segmenting. Stop segmenting everything. This is a massive problem. Because especially if you're building on social media, years ago, maybe, I'll tell you what though, I've never segmented. Because there's so many different ways for you to connect with me. If I take the assumption that I know what courses you're going to want, and I don't send it to you and you miss out, I might lose your trust forever. I would rather risk you unsubscribing because you don't want what I have than for me to decide what you need at any given time in your life. If I have multiple things available to you, well, hopefully I'm not pitching you with yoga on Monday and how to write an email on Tuesday and how to do your hair on Wednesday and the best way to buy a car on Thursday and real estate on Friday. Like, that's schizophrenic. There's way too many topics. So if I build an email list, most, if not all of my offers, by the way, need to be within my niche and what I do. Then you don't need to segment. How to build trust, create culture, and close sales. Oh, and for the person who's very analytical and a fact finder, and they are thinking, what if somebody on social media loves you and they opted into like 10 things and you're sending it to everybody? That's fine. They know what they did. They'll opt out. I would rather risk them opting out than deciding for them what they want. That's not only not good service, it's not good sales. So we're going to talk about how to build trust, how to create culture, and how to close sales. A, be sure you get permission. I said it again. Don't forget to pay attention to last month's training on the opt-in, swipe page, the freebie, the freemium, whatever you want to call it. It's your way of getting permission. It's your way of exchanging value for their email. 2, remember to write friendly, warm, inviting, very similar to social media. If you're warm and inviting and even sometimes hysterical on social media, who in the world is this stuffy Jane in her blue suit who looks like she just walked out of a meeting with the Pentagon? Have you ever been on email lists like that? It's kind of like, who is this person? The making of a great email. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go into the anatomy and the making of a great email. And I'm also going to say something that is going to trigger many of you. But I'm glad it triggers you, because if it triggers you enough, you will get set free and then you'll go make a ton of money. So the making of a great email. The first one I'm going to talk about is an email sales letter. The subject line. The subject line is what I see when I'm scanning on my phone. If your subject line doesn't make me a promise, or it's just as inviting as a friend who wrote me, this is what I do every day. Delete, delete, delete. And I guarantee your prospect does too. So, the making of a great email. Get in alignment with heaven. I prophesied and declared over you that there's favor being released. There is supernatural ability for email writing right now in this virtual classroom, right as I'm speaking, right underneath the sound of my voice. You don't have to earn it, but you have to activate it. If you do nothing with it, that's your fault. God's releasing supernatural favor to write great emails. The first part is the almighty subject line. So the first thing we want to do is make sure it's friendly. Even if you say to me what the offer is, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Even if you just tell me in the email what the offer is, make it friendly. Make sure that you don't ever put names. No names. The only place a name should appear in an email campaign is at the top. Like a friend. Your subject line should make me, if I'm scanning it, yours should stick out because it should be like a friend. It should get my attention. Preferably because what you said is what I want, even in the subject line. Please do use emojis. Not a ton of them, but if you use an emoji, you will stand out in my email program, and I'm more likely to look at you first. And use any emoji you want. Use the kissy face emoji. You use whatever you want. It's going to get people to pay attention. I probably wouldn't use the smiling poop pile, but who knows? In some cases, that might be relevant. I've actually done that before when I was describing undoing all the failure people had had. There was like a whole line of poop piles at the top of the subject line. And our open rates were crazy amazing. You know the difference between you and me? You're trying to be perfect and I'm having fun with it. You're trying to do it like strategy and perfection and like a template. And I'm just having a blast. I'm just like a little kid with faith. I'm like, I wonder if I can get their attention because they've definitely made a mess and I want to help them out. I'm going to put poop piles with the smiley face at the top. Be risky. Have a little fun with it. That kind of energy is going to go through your email. People can tell if you're sitting there having a coronary trying to write the first paragraph for 4 hours. The greeting. I would probably never do dear so-and-so. That just sounds so formal. Don't ever put Mr. or Ms. or none of that. I like to just put hey, and then whatever your email program is, I'm just going to put the pound sign to go down and give you a bunch of my greetings. Hey, you also might want to put guess what? How are you? Like, can you even feel the energy of that when I'm saying it out loud? It sounds much more inviting than dear Sandi. Hey, Sandi, guess what, Sandi? How are you, Sandi? Dear Sandra. I feel like I'm in trouble. This is just for you. I love this one. Now, obviously, don't overdo it. If you start using this is just for you in every email, somebody's going to feel like they've dated a lying narcissist. Like, whatever. You say this is just for me every single freaking time. Unsubscribe. Don't be that way. Don't mislead people. Got a set? And then wherever I put pound is the first name, whatever it is in your email program. Doesn't that just sound more inviting? Doesn't it just make you feel like, this is pretty cool. Oh, and that's from Angie. Oh, and that's from Bob. Oh, and that's from Brandon. Oh, and that's from Chandra. Especially if they're seeing you on social media. The opening paragraph. This is where all of you start saying your prayers and having a heart attack. And some of you, this might be the case, but when's the last time you wrote somebody that really means the world to you? And you were striving so hard to make it perfect. Not very often. You're more likely putting in a lot of effort to make sure they know how much you care. You're putting more effort. Wow, I feel that from the Holy Spirit. To make sure they know you care, to make sure they know you're sincere, to write whatever it is you're writing as an extension of the relationship. Don't dissociate yourself from the fact that somebody wanted to be a part of your tribe. They gave you your email list. They give you an email name to go with the email list. That's like, other than money, the most intimate thing you can give me is your email online. Some of you, that just hit you between the eyes. I want you to ponder that. Next to your credit card, and by the way, I don't recommend you take checks in this day and age. I haven't taken checks in years. Wire transfer or credit card, that's it. But just imagine if your client actually feels like you care. Just imagine if you're actually that authentic that by just hearing from you and watching you on social media, you brought some much needed light to their day. Some of you are in the inner circle because you have no one speaking life to you. And I don't take that lightly, which is why in January, and we might do a promotion before Christmas, we are opening up the spiritual inner circle. It will have daily devotionals. It will have different aspects of living a powerful life. It will be all spiritual, biblically based, but y'all know I ain't religious, so it will be fun. But imagine if, somebody, they didn't give you their credit card, they gave you their email. Take both very seriously. That is such a gift. It is such trust. We are not entitled to these things. And so when you treat it as such, and you love your customers, and you write emails like they mean a lot to you, and you're not like pulling your hair out because I have to make some money, and I need you to buy my stuff so I can make some money. They can feel that. They can feel that. I get it. It might be true. You might need to make some money. But how about if we walk by faith and not by sight? How about if we walk? Wow, thank you, Holy Spirit. How about if we walk by favor and we be the people who really do care? I'm not telling you to care about a narcissistic idiot on social media who says stuff that should put them in jail for at least a day. I'm not telling you to love people who apparently have not taken their medication for weeks. If you're a therapist, have at it. If you're not, I'm not telling you to become friends with those kinds of people. Some people get loving people, codependent, whacked out. The opening paragraph. I need you to do one of two things, okay? I need you to either give me a big hit on what my problem is, or I need you to tell me a story. In both cases, I'm going to have you tell me a story. But in the first case, what's going to happen is you're going to hit me right between the eyes what the problem is. Have you struggled to try to get your waist flat for most of your life? Let me tell you a story. I know what it's like to look like I was 4 months pregnant every time I ate. I remember, depending on what my water consumption was or my sleep, like I had a size 12 on some days and a size 8 on others. Tell a story, but hit me with my pain point. Quit being deceptive. Quit trying to schmooze me. Quit trying to do the crap where you pretend like you're my friend, but you really just want my credit card and you're about as interested in me as some pimp on the street. Quit prostituting me. But I want you to care enough to get me with it. Just like I'm going to do when I start. Timing is everything, and God is asking me to start working with people on getting off of opiates and stuff like that. I'm going to have to hit them with a big problem that is much bigger than taking opiates. And then you have to tell a story so they can know you're not abusing them. To bring out the big problem is not fun. But somebody's got to do it. And if you truly love your customers and you are convinced already that you have a solution that they need, you got to hit them with that big problem. If you don't have a solution for it, then put duct tape over your mouth until you figure out what it is. The second one is, first one is you hit me with a big problem and then bring me together, tie it all together, where you were, where you are now, someone else's story, whatever it was, draw me in with a story, or draw me in with a story and then hit me with the problem. For example, this would be a good example. Let's say I'm introducing people to my new course and I want to talk to them about how I weaned off of different medications, not because I was addicted to it. No, never abused my prescription, but I had multiple autoimmune conditions and multiple life-threatening diseases and was actually told that if I went off of these, the pain that was excruciating every single day was going to be worse. Biggest drug dealers on the planet. That's all I'm going to say. I am not against opiates. If I need surgery, you better believe I'm going to want them. When I had pneumonia last year, I was so thankful for opiates in that cough syrup so I didn't pop another rib. But let's say I'm going to tell a story and draw you in. I'm going to tell you the first one. I'm going to hit you with the problem and tell you a little story. And then I'm going to tell you the story and show you how I hit you with the problem. So let's say I open up the email and it's like, hey, Charlie, how long have you been taking opiates and how long do you think your liver can handle it? I'm not judging. I'm coming from a point of compassion. My first usage with opiates was when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis as a teenager, and they had given me some codeine. It progressed even later into my mid-20s when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and ulcerative colitis. The pain was unbearable. But by the time that I was on them for over 18 years, and despite the fact that I had never abused them and had taken every supplement known to man to protect my body, I knew there had to be a better way. This is when I realized the two key factor for pain, and that is dry heat and cannabis. Not to mention learning to move my body, but I wasn't ready for that. So I'm going to ask you again, how long do you think your body can handle the amount of opiates that you've been given? I have a solution that has now kept me off of opiates for almost 4 years, got me back into the gym, and gave me my life back. That's hitting me with the big problem and then telling me a story. If I told you the story, I would open it more like, hey, Charlie, I remember more than 10 years ago waking up every morning. And these were the first two things that happened every day. My eyes opened, and then I realized where the pain was the greatest. Every single day started with pain in my neck, pain in my back, pain in my feet, sometimes shooting pains in my hands. And I would literally utter a prayer by the side of my bed through tears that God would help me, that my children would not know how much pain I was in. This had been going on for more than half of my life. And they had prescribed me on regular hydrocodone and then later OxyContin some 17 years ago. Big problem. How long do you think a body can go and a liver can survive with that kind of consumption? Oh, and don't forget the prednisone and the antidepressants and the anti-anxiety and all of the other things that were polluting my body while I was trying to fight a disease. I'm not saying any of this in judgment because I have a solution that has kept me off of them for almost 4 years and completely radically changed the way I look at life. That's how you tell a story and hit me with the problem in just the opening paragraph. I would be willing to say that the top 3 mistakes that I see with beginning entrepreneurs in email marketing is that they simply will not take the time to write it out. There's like an adrenaline rush. First of all, you're born with it. You're an entrepreneur. God designed you to be a bit risky. Then you get super excited about all the kind of possibility. And before you know it, if you're not careful and you're not disciplining yourself and you're not channeling that kind of stuff into the gym and all kinds of other things, you could be completely addicted to every single time your dopamine can get a hit, which is why you got to be really careful on social media. And I don't mean careful, fearful. I mean, embrace your freaking power and set up some self-control constraints. Quit being a slave to stuff like that. And here's the thing. A lot of times people hear about all the potential and they want to rush and they want to rush and they want to rush. And they're looking at their financial situation and all the other different things. And they're not even paying attention, let alone admitting it took you 15 years to get where you're at. Do you really think you need to rush for the next 6 months? What if you took your time and mastered it over 12 to 18 months? That 15 years could be wiped away in under 2. Find me a debt consolidation plan that does that without terrifying or destroying your credit. So one of the things that entrepreneurs do is they get so excited about the potential. Now all of a sudden they see an answer and they see a solution and they want to fix all their problems. And the next thing you know, they're racing, they're pushing, they're trying to model the energy of spastic that they see on social media. Slow and steady and consistent wins the race. The opening paragraph, my friends, is where I, as your reader, am going to decide whether to do one of 3 things. Write this down. The opening paragraph is where I am your reader, and I'm going to decide one of 3 things, just 3 things. That's it, just 3. Get out of your mind everything else everybody said. I'm going to decide to keep reading. I'm going to decide this is too elaborate. I'll read it later. Or I'm going to decide, whatever, we're in a global pandemic and I can't even figure out what the hell I'm making for breakfast. Delete. Your opening paragraph is going to cause me to do one of those things. To not put the problem and how you want to keep helping or offer a solution, or that you're concerned for your client, makes it confusing. And people who are confusing don't make good decisions. They usually delete, they delay, they don't keep moving forward. You don't want a client or prospect to constantly be thinking, why are you writing me? Have you ever thought that when you're reading some of the opening paragraphs of some marketers, like, can you cut to the point and you scroll down to see what the heck they're talking about? Use the opening paragraph to build trust. Use the opening paragraph with authenticity. One problem. Don't tell me you're the savior of my world. One problem, please. The opening paragraph as well is going to build brand loyalty. And what's interesting is, I'm going to go further in the anatomy of an email, but we've got to come up with a couple different things that are going to be important for you as you get further. Otherwise, many of you are going to try to templatize this. This set it and forget it is probably the number 2 addiction in beginning entrepreneurs. You don't get to set it and forget it unless you set it, unless you did a lot of stuff first preliminarily. And you have to be building brand loyalty with your email as much as you do your social media. And hopefully, for your sake, it's mirroring. Building that brand loyalty also creates endless opportunities for you to overcome your audience objections. That storytelling is dissolving their objections. I'm telling a story. Here's all the objections. And it's like I'm just putting bleach on it. Off they go. Storytelling emails help dissolve the objections. Write this down. What is your goal with the email? And I get it. You might be just testing something out. You might just be doing it for practice. And I recommend that. I recommend you send some emails to your list where you actually just tell them about your day and don't pitch anything. No links whatsoever. Send them a post very similar to what you did on social media. Cut and paste something from social media that you just did with the photo and the quote. Just tell them I was thinking about you and send that. That builds rapport. That builds brand loyalty. That tells your client, I'm not just going to sell to you. But what is your goal? With this sales email, you might have a couple. Here's a couple suggestions. You might be making an announcement. You might be having a launch come up. So you still, did I spell this right? You might be making an announcement. This announcement might be about a launch, which is why it's even more important than ever. Not that it's less important at other times, but it's even more important than ever to make sure that you're hitting me with that problem. Tell me a story. You might be trying to make a sale. That's fine. If you have already built some rapport with your clients, this is why I can send out a discount series for a whole week and make $20,000 with it, because I have a built rapport. Make a sale. We actually did that since Friday with the membership course, and it's like 70% off. That doesn't just happen overnight. That's because there has been rapport building and relationship and all of that for a long time. You might actually have to send an email out because it's a countdown to your launch. You've seen me do that before. You got 2 days, you got 3 days, you got 1 day, you got 10 hours, you got 8 hours, you got 6 hours, you got 2 hours, we're done. As a matter of fact, some of your clients are going to watch to see whether or not you will do that countdown. If you just sent an email on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and said, well, I launched it, but we only got like 3 sales. That's why. You didn't make the announcement. You didn't talk to me about what your goal was. You didn't even tell me. You didn't tell me a story. You didn't hit me with the problem. And then the next thing you know, I find out your launch is gone because those 3 emails were your launch. You are the ones who are directing your clients. So, and there are exceptions to this rule because people can be predictably irrational. All of us, myself included. But if your clients are constantly confused and they have no idea where you're going, that's probably your fault. So write this down. A good opening, a goal, and then you're going to decide whether or not it's going to be a short email or a long one. Not all emails have to be long. Those short and sweet ones get people's attention every now and then because they're kind of like, what? Is that all it was? I better click through that. Secrets to better writing. Who are you writing to and what do you want them to do? Who are they? What do you want them to do? Remember, the first step is to create a subject line that makes me curious, that is friendly, that isn't deceptive, that brings me a promise. Remember, when you're writing, to write to one, send it to many. You can do this exercise. There's one of two things that you can do that my clients have had massive breakthrough doing this. The first one is write a letter to one of your clients or one of your friends or one of your previous clients. Think about anytime you had like an exceptional customer. Those of you who are brand new, you may have not had a customer like that yet before, but you can think of in your lifetime somebody that is so incredible. They're the first one you would love to tell them about your new business. Write the email to them. And when you send it through Aweber, you're sending it to many. Write it to one, send it to many. I have a feeling we are not going to need let me see here. I have a feeling we're not going to need a Q&A on Wednesday, which is what I had aimed for. I'm doing good. I'm on task because I want to do about an hour of Q&A with you today. So write this. A, curiosity. And if you don't get it while I'm doing it, it is recorded and it will be shared with you today. B, friendly. C, make a promise. D, don't be deceptive. So we've talked about our subject line. We've talked about our greeting. We've talked about our opening paragraph. Now it is time to get to it. Write this down. Tell them what you have. You will never be allowed to use this excuse in your lifetime ever again to say, I don't know what to write. Okay? This is your cheat sheet. So we did the opening. Already talked about that. Now tell them what you have. And some of you just went, but you've got to be convinced first. You must be convinced first. You don't need better selling skills. You need better market research. You need more conviction. Conviction will sell you way more than education. Conviction. You've got to believe first. Tell them what you have. Tell me what it will do. Tell me why it's unique. When I did WordPress classes, when I first launched this company, nothing very unique about teaching WordPress. But the unique thing was I bought I don't even remember, a bunch of other WordPress classes. Mind you, I had made millions of dollars online, and I took all these WordPress classes, and I was completely confused. For a short time, I thought, oh, I shouldn't be teaching about WordPress. This is ridiculous. I don't know nothing. And then I had to remind myself, yes, you do. But you don't talk like that. And you don't use a Greek dictionary when you teach things. So imagine, Sandi, if you took those classes and you've made millions of dollars online and now you are completely doubting yourself and completely confused, where is the prospect? So this is how it was unique. I told that story. And I continue to tell that story. And it helps people realize, oh my gosh, it's not just me. No, it's not you. Most of the stuff that for WordPress is being taught by somebody who codes for a living, lives in a cave in a basement, and has 11 monitors. It's not the social butterfly who's out there talking on social media. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't let that person be on social media talking unless they've got some sort of, personality. The reason it's unique is because I actually made it simple. No matter what your success, the very fact that I had sold millions of dollars and took all these different WordPress classes and was confused meant that it's going to work for beginners and not so beginners. Why is it unique? And if you want, let me see if I can find it. And we're not taking questions right now, so I need to lower all hands. We are not taking questions right now. I will show you where you can get some really in-depth information about this whole process. Go to my website and type in the 4 U's. It'll take you to this article, The Power of 4 U's. Urgent, unique, useful, ultra specific. Just go to a real change, type in the 4 U's. You might even want to print that out. That'll help you find out what is so unique about you. And then, guess what? Guess what's coming? The big thing, the solution. If you don't tell me in the email, and again, you don't have to do all of this to like the same depth as your sales letter, but you got to tap it. You have to tap it and provoke my curiosity. Sometimes I might pick this one and this one. Sometimes I might pick what I have and tell you why it's unique, and you'll get the solution on my sales page. Most times I do all 4. But the sales page is going to be doing the selling. This could be a social media post, this could be a social media post, this could be a social media post, and this could be a social media post, and this is an email. You also need to use words that push people. If you don't like that, you shouldn't be in business. If you have a child who has 104.8 fever, are you going to be like, oh, honey, come on, take your Motrin. It's going to be good for you. No. Okay, it's fine. I won't make you take it anymore. Sorry. I'll go over here and let you suffer and hope it works out. Are you kidding me? You would be creative. You would put that in that drink. You would do whatever you had to do. There were even times when my babies were little. It was like, I need to put you on the bed, give you a nice kiss on your cheek, and then I'm going to hold you and drop this dropper in your mouth so we don't have to go to the hospital. You've got to push. It doesn't need to be schmoozy pushing. It doesn't need to be disingenuous pushing. It doesn't need to counter your personality. We all push in a different way. But you need to use words like this. Do not delay. Go here now. This is how you get them to click through. It is the number one strategy of a successful multi-million-dollar copywriter. It is the reason why people who write copy and make millions of dollars and people who do not. This is the dividing factor. This is the secret. This is worth whatever you paid for Inner Circle this entire year. This is worth. This is the answer. I will unashamedly say this is the answer, and some of you will be like, could be the answer. I'm not so sure it's the answer. I'm not convinced it's the answer. It's the answer. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. Maybe I need to wait a little while. Is it really the answer? I don't know. I'm telling you to go there now. Oh my God. What if my sales page sucks? Don't delay. What if 100 of them go one time my website crashes? I think I need to pray. I hope you're laughing, but it is true. You'll never have to look again. One of the things that is motivating me to start a spiritual inner circle, if I can say this genuinely, lovingly, we are going to have my spiritual parents involved who are a pastor and an apostle. I am an apostle and a prophet. We are going to have other people who are apostolic teachers, fathers and mothers doing regular devotionals. And I'm going to do a 1-hour spiritual teaching for business from the Bible every month. It's going to be beginning price $20. There's a lot of people who are discouraged because their churches have been shut down. There's a lot of people discouraged because their leaders have, I'm going to say this as respectfully I can, but they have drank the Kool-Aid of a spirit of stupor. Their leaders have lost it. Their leaders have sat down. Their leaders, I could go on and on and on. I mean, I don't mean any of this disrespectfully, but more than ever before, I believe that God is moving through business, and this is why. And I believe there are people here, even under the sound of my voice, who don't know how to break soul ties, do not know how to get inertia out of their brain so that they can think clearly, do not know how to put the cross of Jesus Christ between them and any enemy, do not know how to find their spiritual gifts, do not know how to walk by faith, do not know how to break off poverty, do not know how to embrace wealth, do not understand that God wants you to do well with what he gave you. They don't understand any of that. So when I say you will never have to look again, you will never have to struggle again, I can't control what someone does with this information, but I'm convinced by my very own life that it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth $2,000 a month, but we're going to give it for $20 a month. You could even put your prayers have been answered. I guarantee you some marketer's saying this to you and you're whipping your credit card out. Why aren't you saying it to people? And again, you can't say this every single time or you will sound like a doofus. Nobody will trust you. The wait is over. These are declarative statements that cause people to move. Interestingly enough, I feel led by the Holy Spirit to say this. Many of you would speak in declarative statements to get somebody to embrace the promise of God for their life. But you have so little conviction over the very thing he has anointed you for, and you won't get it into the hands of people. What's up with that? I can get you there. I say this quite a bit. I can get you there if you are willing to work, if you will give it your all, if you'll get over your own bull crap, if you'll get rid of all the toxic relationships, if you'll get yourself out of bed in the morning, if you'll do what you said you were going to do. If you're not, ain't nobody can get you there. Not even a miracle. I'll unashamedly say that. Why? Because you see, in the recesses of my mind, I have a memory of what it was like to walk away from opiates. I have a memory of what it was like to walk out of a gang rape. I have a memory of what it was like to walk out of horrific childhood trauma. I have a memory of what it was like to make millions and lose millions. I have a memory of what it's like to have death threats. I have a memory of all these different things that no one was there going, come on, Sandi, hold my hand, come on, well, you can do this. No, half the time people encouraged me to stay stuck because they thought it was too big of a pipe dream, which is so sad, which is why I'll once again say you'll never have to look again with that spiritual inner circle. I can get you there if you're going to say the statement, I can get you there, be genuine. Tell people about their part. We're not building codependent businesses. You'd be amazed at how many coaches believe it is their responsibility to help people succeed. It's your responsibility to be 100% vested in what you release. It's your responsibility to do over 50 to 100 hours of market research, which should only take you a month or so that you're so freaking convicted and confident about this that the only people who won't want it are the people it's not for. Why are you trying to convince the people it's not for? Your confidence is supposed to be like a magnet to the people it's for. You're not supposed to be trying to convince other people. Convincing is not a part of email. Confidence and conviction is. And many of you don't have confidence or conviction because you simply haven't done it enough. You haven't done your market research. You're walking by sight and not by faith. And you're not being honest with yourself. Now, this is the single greatest, most overlooked, and most difficult part of any email campaign. Tell them what to do. If you don't, they won't. As a mom, I got to tell people what to do all the time. Pick that blanket up, fold the blanket and put it on there. Don't wait, get away. Take to wash your hands. Shut the door after your milk. Many times, if I don't, they won't. If you don't tell your prospect what to do, they won't. Those phrases are going to help. And guess what? After you end your greeting, there's the super incredible, profitable, powerful PS. And if you're really risky, you might put a PSS. And some people might even put a PSSS. The PS might be your guarantee. The PS might be one more push, the PSS. One of the statements you didn't use above. The PSSS might be a promise. I've even gone this far. I've done 4. Start telling them in the PSSS who this is not for. This is not for you if you're lazy. This is not for you if you can't even make your bed in the morning. This is not for you if you were not spanked as a child. This is not for you if you're a tire kicker. This is not for you if you have a lottery mentality. This is not for you if you're already mad at me by the rest of the email. You get really ballsy after a while. And you'll be surprised. The more you try to convince people, the less likely they're going to buy from you. The only person, I'm going to write this in big letters. And some of you should get a Post-it this size because these are sticky and put this on the wall of your office. You know what's humorous to me is people who take my classes and then start their own course and they think they're quoting me and they are not. The only person you should be convincing is you. The more you are convinced, the more likely people will buy from you. The more you are afraid, the more likely they won't. The more you hesitate, the more likely they won't. The more you look at something that you know that could change your life and you didn't buy it and you sat there and you're, you know what? Sometimes you're sowing into your own business. This is a principle of wealth that I have learned in my 26 years. Sometimes the way I activate sales in my business is go buy some stuff. I sow into other people's businesses. The way I get rid of scarcity is I sow into other people's businesses. I'm not sitting here like guarding my own pocketbook and being a miser and being super stingy and oh my God, walking by fear. But I'm going to write this stuff and I'm expecting God's going to do a miracle and send me millions through my email. No. Sometimes when I feel stuck or whatever, I'm going to go sow into the marketplace. I'm going to go sow into other people's businesses. I'm going to go leave a big tip somewhere. I'm going to buy a $25 meal and leave them a $100 tip. And then I'm going to come back and write my email. Watch what happens about that. That's the kind of stuff people don't want to hear. They just want strategy. They just want magic. They don't want any kinds of responsibility. But fortunately, that's not you. The only person you should convince in email marketing is you. Stop being so afraid. If you can't push them, they won't do it. That's your job. Your job is to direct people. Your job is to lead with that conviction. Your conviction leads, not theirs. This is why you can't put social media content out there and just expect it to work. This is why you can't put social media content out there and get massively jealous because somebody else made it look easy and you tried it for a month and it didn't work. Somebody else who made it look easy might have 500 hours behind them and you don't know that. You don't know how many times they fell on their face. You don't know how much they cry out to God. You don't know how much they're investing into their future. You don't know anything about any of that. And jealousy will cannibalize your business faster than anything I know. If your conviction's got to lead, not theirs, you've got to be convinced first. Now, let's say some of this is making you feel like you're going to have an accident in your pants because you're a little nervous by all of this. I get it. There's a lot of classes out there that make it look like it is as easy as making chocolate chip cookies. Just follow the recipe and it'll work. That's not true. You're dealing with people. And you are a people, and you're dealing with communication. Many of you are going to really dive in deep to writing better emails, and it's going to change your whole communication in your whole life. Now, let's say you're not ready to come out of the gates that way. What I'm going to give you here during the next 15, 20 minutes, and then we're going to take a bathroom break and have a Q&A until 2 p.m. I'm going to show you two approaches that are a little bit softer. It is the only approach that I used in my kitchenware business and made a total of almost $20 million with that company. And it is writing a biweekly newsletter. I used to write a biweekly newsletter here, and some of that I stopped because of all the social media content I create. I actually need to hire an intern who can take some of my social media content and send out a biweekly newsletter. So if there's anybody here listening who has copywriting skills and wants to work as an intern with me by taking some of my social media content and creating a biweekly newsletter with what I'm going to show you, I would love to hear from you. The anatomy of a biweekly newsletter. And if you're going to teach a class like this, Xyla melts. The anatomy of a biweekly newsletter. We've got our subject. I don't change my subject for a biweekly newsletter. I also don't change my greeting. But what will come after that are a couple key points. You might have what's happening. in your company this week? You might put personal things that are happening in your life, different things that you've seen. Let me fix. I'm so sorry about that. You might put personal things that are happening in your life. You might put things that you are seeing happening in your niche. What's happening? You might put underneath that why you're writing. So this is where your first paragraph is going to come in. What's happening? It's kind of going to be more, we taught a class on Monday on how to do email, and on Tuesday we had a video go viral, and here's the coupon I gave out on social media on Wednesday. Why I'm writing you today. I'm going to tell them about, say, my membership course, if I was going to do a biweekly email with what I'm doing right now. You might tell them in case you missed it. Some of you, this is going to get some skill developed for you, because this you can kind of templatize and then fill in the gaps with more personal writing. So not only why you're writing, but in case they missed it, this might be where you're going to give something special, or you want to point them to an article that went viral, or you might have something you put on social media that was somebody else's and you thought they might want to see it. You might want to show them a key video, a blog post, a regular post, a quote, something where you're going to give them a link. People will start thanking you for this, because if they've missed you on social media because of shadow banning, or they're busy, or just the fears of the pandemic, this is going to keep them connected to you. This is where you can put this week's offer and just call it this week's offer, and add a special coupon that only goes out to your email list. People will start looking forward to what's coming in this week's offer and what's happening. They'll be looking forward to what's going on. Make sure you do a friendly close. More important than ever, affirm and give love. Thank them. Don't take them for granted. Appreciate that they opened up the email. Appreciate that you actually have somebody to send this to, and tell them. Do this 2 times a week. I personally like to do it on Monday and Wednesday. Monday and Wednesday seem to be big days in the stock market, so a long time ago I started doing this. And I've always done all of my emails in an Eastern time zone. So many times I'm sending it out like 3 a.m. here in Arizona, because it's 5 or 6 in Eastern time zone. That's one template. If you do that regularly for 6 months, you probably have no fear about writing an email sales letter. The other kind that you can do is the subject, the greeting, same way. And you might just put a blog post, or screen capture from a video with a link. You might write the full blog post or half and a link to the rest of it. This can't hurt. This is actually going to get people to your blog. So all you're doing is at the top, it's a blog post, a screen capture of some video that they really liked, and you can still do this week's offer with a special coupon. I like to put lines between them. Makes it easy for them to navigate the email. I always affirm and close with love. But when I'm doing this kind of email regularly, I really like to do it even more. It just tends to work really well with that format. That's going to help some of you, like, bust through your fears. Now, I have a gift. Tiffany, the swipe file light, I think it's actually in the group. If we can post that, not in the group, I think it's in the vault. If we can post that, that's going to give you guys some files and some copies of some of my best email campaigns. Another thing that's super important, take my name. Next time you get a promotional email from me or whatever, take my name, highlight it, put me on some kind of VIP thing in your email program, and maybe automatically send it to a Sandi folder. Next time it's time for you to write a sales page or an email, you just open up the Sandi folder that's in your email, scan some of my emails, and you'll literally get an impartation because of the way that my gift works. The other thing I want to say is give it time. Make sure you practice. Don't put in tiny effort and expect big rewards. We can't do that in relationships, and it's not going to work in email marketing. The results that you get will be in alignment with the effort that you put. And I'm warning you, I believe that there are demonic forces that do not want you to write email or do social media content. How do I know this? Because I hear it all the time in my head. Don't do this. Nobody's going to pay attention. Nobody cares about this. Why are you doing that? They're going to shadow ban you. People are going to unsubscribe. All this crap. And I've been doing this for how many years? I am convinced there are demons in email, on social media, and even text. How many times have people misunderstood other people through email, through text, through social media? Tell that thing to go back to hell where it came from in Jesus' name and write your email. Write your email afraid. Write your email in the template I told you. Every time you send it out, I guarantee you, you are sowing into the harvest that God has for you by being faithful and sending it out no matter what. Thanks so much again for listening to this podcast episode. And as you have been listening to today's masterclass, I want to invite you to become an Inner Circle member. You can get $70 off our regular price. Our new price is only $27 for a limited time. If you go to arealchange.com/inner circle. We'd love to have you there. I host 2 masterclasses every month with a couple-hour sessions. We have live Q&A, over 800 hours of recorded audio and video in our academy. And we have a track record of raising up 6- and 7-figure earners. If you just want to put some more cash into your bank account, you want to pay off your debt, or you're really looking for a great way to change your life, go to arealchange.com/inner circle. And you can get $70 off today. I look forward to seeing you in the group. And until then, have a wonderful day. And don't ever forget who you are.